Every December, it happens again. Someone says happy holidays, and someone else gets offended, and suddenly, bam, we're in a war on Christmas. We get headlines like, "Is Christmas under attack?" Or, "Starbucks hates Jesus, apparently." And every time, it feels like the end of Western civilization over a coffee cup. But here's the twist. This isn't new. People have been fighting about Christmas for centuries, like literal wars of words and beliefs long before Fox News ever existed. So today, we're going to dig into the surprisingly dramatic, occasionally ridiculous, and always political history of the war on Christmas. From Puritans banning it, to Victorians reinventing it, to modern culture wars turning it into an annual debate over Starbucks cups. Because maybe, just maybe, Christmas has always been less about peace on earth and more about who gets to control the holiday spirit. Let's start in 17th century England, where the very first war on Christmas wasn't fought with hashtags or talk show segments, but with actual laws. By the mid-1600s, England was in the middle of a civil war. The Puritans, extremely serious Christians who believed most fun was probably sinful, had taken control of Parliament. And in June 1647, they decided Christmas, Easter, and Whitsun, the three biggest party days of the year, were all too Catholic, too pagan, and way too rowdy. Parliament banned them outright. No Christmas church services, no decorations, no festive drinking, and no caroling, not even in your private home. Instead, they introduced a new secular monthly public holiday, the 17th century equivalent of your boss saying, "Don't celebrate Christmas, but enjoy this mandatory team building day." The ban was wildly unpopular. That same year, there were riots in places like Canterbury and Kent, though some were just pro-royalist troublemaking. A ballad called "The World Turned Upside Down" even mocked the ban, which feels like the 1600s version of subtweeting your government. By 1652, Parliament doubled down. They reinforced the ban with fines for attending or hosting Christmas services, and shops were ordered to stay open on December 25th. Yes, the "should stores be open on Christmas" debate is at least 400 years old. The pamphlet Vindication of Christmas came out the same year, arguing, basically, let us have pudding in peace. Over the next few years, under military rule, the so-called rule of the major generals tried cracking down even further. Some succeeded, some didn't, and by 1656, Parliament complained that even in London, shops were closing and parties were happening. So many, in fact, that MPs were kept awake at night by the sound of Christmas celebrations. Imagine explaining that to a modern HOA. "No, Susan, I'm not taking down my wreath. It's a revolutionary statement." By 1657, enforcement was still being reminded, but it was basically unenforceable. People ignored it. Sound familiar? Moral bans are almost always aspirational rather than practical. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Puritans in Massachusetts made celebrating Christmas illegal in 1659. Fines were given for any feasting or festive behavior. Unlike England, though, this ban stuck around for decades. Schools and businesses stayed open, churches ignored the day, and anyone caught celebrating was suspiciously un-Puritan. It wasn't until the mid-1800s that Massachusetts finally made Christmas a public holiday. So the next time someone says there's a war on Christmas, just remember, the Puritans literally started one, and their battle plan was to find anyone having too much fun. By the early 1800s, Christmas had faded into the background. The upper classes thought it was a rowdy old festival for peasants. The lower classes were busy surviving the Industrial Revolution. Enter the Victorians. In 1843, Charles Dickens published A Christmas Carol. Suddenly, Christmas was about morality, family, generosity, and social conscience, and a little ghostly trauma for good measure. Basically, Dickens walked so every Hallmark movie could run. Around the same time, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert introduced the Christmas tree tradition from Germany. When their royal family posed for sketches around the tree, the trend caught fire. Christmas traditions started stacking like DLC. Cards, carols, and even Santa's modern transformation from serious bishop to jolly man in red began to take shape thanks to illustrators like Thomas Nast. Coca-Cola later cemented the final design in the 1930s. The Victorians soft-launched Christmas 2.0. Cozy family vibe, moral undertones, and a brand new character design for Santa. But this rebrand also made Christmas ripe for commercialization. By the 20th century, Christmas was booming. The post-war economic boom meant families had more disposable income and advertisers were ready. Macy's parades, Coca-Cola Santa ads, Hallmark cards, and holiday marketing turned Christmas into a central economic season. Even as companies wrapped the holiday in warm imagery, people noticed. Newspapers ran op-eds about the true meaning of Christmas, and A Charlie Brown Christmas made it its entire plot. Religious leaders worried about materialism. Ad executives smiled. Christmas had become both a moral celebration and a commercial enterprise, a perfect setup for the modern war on Christmas. In the 1990s and 2000s, the war on Christmas went digital. Bill O'Reilly coined the term and made it famous, framing the holiday as under attack by anyone who dared to say Happy Holidays. The most passive-aggressive war ever. The only casualty is a greeting. From Starbucks cups to school nativity debates, it's less about religion and more about identity, politics, and social signaling. Outrage sells, and the war on Christmas is the ultimate evergreen content. Meanwhile, in video games and digital spaces, Christmas has become aesthetic. Snow, cozy music, festive skins, it's more about feeling than belief. So the modern war on Christmas isn't really about Jesus, Santa, or eggnog. It's about cultural ownership, a fight that's been going on for over 400 years. Every era's war on Christmas reflects its anxieties. In the 1600s, we had morality and sin. Colonial Massachusetts had religious conformity. The 1800s, nostalgia and social ideals. And the 20th century was consumerism and capitalism. And today, in the 21st century, we have culture wars and outrage cycles. People have been arguing about Christmas for centuries. Only the weapons have changed. Swords, books, department stores, memes. Next time someone complains about your holiday greeting, remember, this battle is ancient. And if you really want to join the fight, go ahead and grab a mug of cocoa, put on some carols, and wage your own personal war. Thank you for joining me on this festive adventure. As always, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And if you want to add even more historical context or maybe just some fun festive memories, feel free to drop them in the comments. I love reading your thoughts and experiences. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to wage my own personal war on some gingerbread cookies. Bye!
Ho, ho, ho.